It's Axe Hammer right here on your Classic Metal Show from Walk Into the Fire. If the production was a little bit better on that, it would definitely be a very Maidenish sounding band.
It is a Maidenish sounding band. If Maiden threw a boombox on the floor and it was a rehearsal.
That's my point. So if they had, a little better production value, it would definitely be a Maiden ripoff.
Yeah, I like that. It sounded okay. I mean, like you, I hated the production, but put that one on the to be deleted pile.
Yeah. Deleted.
Out. Nah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Walk Into the Fire, I guess, quite a few fans enjoyed that segment last week of Here I Am, Rock You Like a H Word.
Right. Yeah, they did. I loved the line, I'm a person of flame.
You're a person of flame. Yeah, you can say fire because you were a former person of flame.
That made me laugh all week.
Sure. Yeah, there was a lot of good ones in there.
Yeah, there was.
I saw somebody in there on the YouTube comments anyway said that, that I take this as a compliment, but I don't in any way, shape, or form believe it. But they said, this is just as good as any Howard Stern or Artie in their prime.
Wow. That's some good praise.
Yeah. So,
although today, I don't know about being compared to Stern. I don't even want to be compared to Stern today. Oof. He's really bad these days.
Well, they said in their prime.
Yeah. Well, that I can live with. By the way, have you been watching Artie and Anthony, or did you just watch the one I sent?
I just watched the one. I haven't really had time to sit there and just watch it, but yeah, the original one that you sent me, that was pretty crazy.
Dude, every day. Did I send you the Chris Hansen one?
Did you send it to me?
Or is that the one that I had you watch, was the Chris Hansen one?
No, you told me about it, that Artie just obliterated him to his face.
Right to his face. He asked Chris Hansen, the guy from To Catch a Predator, do you fuck kids? I was fucking rolling. It was so uncomfortable to watch him just douching fucking Hansen. And he just kept doing it for like 90 minutes. It was uncomfortable, but it was so fucking funny to watch. It was great. I was laughing my ass off. Artie rules, but I never realized he was that funny.
Yeah, well, he, obviously he only added a little snippet here and there when he was on Stern as right. One of the sidemen, or taking over where Jackie the Joke Man had left off.
Right, sure.
But the weird thing about this, and I know I mentioned this to you, and you kind of explained to me what's going on there, but the weird way that Artie has his back to everybody.
Yeah, he doesn't face anybody. He just sort of, that's not his thing. Is that he doesn't face people.
Yeah, he just looks very uncomfortable with his back turned.
Yeah,
and you said that's basically due to a hearing issue.
Yeah, well, that's my assumption. I don't know that to be true, but I do the same thing, because when I got smoked, I had a piece of molten metal go down my ear canal on my right side, and it burned away my eardrum. So I only have like 10% hearing in that ear. So I tend to do what Artie's doing, where I sort of turn myself so that the good ear is facing whatever's coming at me, so I can hear.
Yeah.
And most people don't even pick up on it. I don't think you ever picked up on it until I told you this week.
Right.
But it's something those of us of hearing deficit do.
Right.
And I just watching his mannerisms and the way he does that, I honestly think that's what he's doing. I think what they should do is switch positions.
Yeah, because it's just kind of weird that, they're having this, interaction at a desk, and he's like faced away from everybody.
Yeah. But I think that's why it is because he hears out of his left ear. Would it be his left ear? Or whatever ear it is, that's the one he hears from. So he turns his body to put the good ear forward so he can hear everything.
Right.
And I know on the first episode, he complained about not having headphones. He was like, you don't have, right on the show as they started, he's like, you don't have headphones anywhere, because they don't do headphones on this show. And he was complaining about it probably because now he can't hear as well what's going on. So, if it was me, if it is truly a hearing problem, I'd just get the guy some fucking headphones.
Yeah, or I would just get him some in-ears if they don't want the unsightliness of these guys wearing these big bulky headsets.
Yeah, I guess, but does it really matter? I mean, it's a sit-around show. You can wear headphones, it'd be fine.
Well, if you watch, if you watch Joe Rogan, his show and everything, they wear headphones, right?
Yeah, Rogan does.
Yeah.
So why not?
I don't know.
It wouldn't matter, but who knows? I don't know, but I assume that's my assumption that he has a hearing problem.
Okay. Yeah, because watching it, it's tough to watch him, just turn the other direction. It's just kind of weird.
It is, but he is brutal on that show.
Yeah.
Oh God, he tore up Chris Hansen, and then the next day he had that Joe Matarese, the comedian, on, and I guess Matarese had criticized online their show, the Artie and Anthony show, and fucking Artie was killing him.
Yeah.
I mean, killing him for 2 straight hours. It was really, really brutal to watch.
So funny.
I love it though. It is the dynamic that has been missing. And I like the Anthony Cumia show, but I really like the Artie and Anthony.
Yeah, and both of us were a little skeptical, especially when you first told me that they were actually changing the name of the show.
Yeah.
To incorporate Artie, and I was just like, what are they gonna, what do they bring to the table to where it warrants an entire name change and everything?
Mm-hmm. It definitely did though, because it's a totally different energy, and it's a total. It reminds me of old O&A, where everything was cringy. Every guest, you I don't know how hardcore you. I mean, you were a pretty hardcore O&A guy.
Yeah, I listened to them every day. Yeah.
So I mean, you remember when they would have authors in, and they'd be Anthony would be asking the author questions, and Opie'd be tearing the book apart and tearing the pages up.
Sure.
That's what this reminds me of, is that kind of cringe comedy. It is so fucking good. I think they've done 7 episodes now, and I have fucking loved every one of them.
Very nice.
So good.
Well, the one that kind of cracked me up, though, is when some fan made them allegedly pot cookies.
Oh yeah.
And they ended up missing off the table, and so they had like the surveillance camera zero in on who might have swiped them.
Right, on Big A.
Yeah. And for me, the skepticism is, all right, is this staged?
Yeah.
Or did this actually happen?
I think it might have actually happened, and the only reason I say that is because Big A was he was Dave's producer on the Eastside Dave show.
Right.
Comes on later, and Dave came on Monday with a new producer and said that Big A was told he's not allowed on the premises anymore.
Okay.
So we'll see if he stays away or not, but I guess that'll be the telltale, is if he comes back, then we'll know it was just bullshit.
Right.
Because Big A's been with O&A forever.
Yeah, a long time.
I mean, a long time, but I guess they don't want him thieving shit.
Yeah.
Can't blame him there.
Yeah, if he's stealing stuff right off the table, what else is he doing?
Yeah, exactly. What a dumb move.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Stealing cookies? Get the fuck out of here.
Stealing pot lace cookies.
Stealing anything, but stealing cookies? Come on, dude. Really?
Some people are goofy.
Yep.
All right. Well, speaking of goofy people.
Okay.
Our good friend Patrick DeLeese.
Okay.
He private messaged me.
Yeah.
And sent me over a link. And since you're friends with these podcaster guys, he sent me over a link to what is it called? It's called Rock and or Roll.
Oh, the Rock and or Roll podcast.
Are you familiar with it?
I don't know the guy that does it. I I know of it. I've listened to it, and I listened to it once, and it didn't grab me the episode I listened to, but I can't really speak on it, like if it's good or bad. I don't know.
Right. Well, as those of you who listen to the Classic Metal Show, you're aware that there was a Rock and Pod Expo a couple of weeks ago in Nashville. And I can't say his last name, Chris. Well, how do you say his last name?
Chris Sinzak.
Krasinzak?
Sinzak.
Okay.
Yeah.
No offense, Chris. I just don't know how to pronounce your name properly.
It does have a lot of Z's and stuff.
Yeah.
Z's and Y's and stuff.
Exactly. So apparently, Chris called into the show here, right after it wrapped. And we congratulated them on the success and the fact that they didn't walk away with empty pockets.
Sure.
And so on and so forth. Then we had heard that, podcaster Michael Butler wasn't exactly the most pleasant person to have at the podcast or the Rock and Pod Expo.
Okay.
This is all hearsay for myself as well as Chris, because neither one of us were there.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Michael Butler got called out.
Okay.
For his lack of being supportive of the Rock and Pod Expo.
By the Rock and or Roll podcast?
Well, they played it, and I have a heart because I don't know these people.
Okay.
I don't know these guys from Adam. You might be able to shed more light on it.
Okay.
Well, anyway, the Rock and or Roll podcast played a segment. I'm thinking it's probably from Michael Butler's show.
Okay.
And he's playing a voicemail, basically chewing him out for the way that he supposedly conducted himself at this Rock and Pod Expo.
Okay.
And of course, my name got thrown into the mix.
Right.
Which my personal name got thrown into the mix because, again, these guys were butthurt that early on I questioned what the motivation and what the draw would be and all these other things.
Okay.
And, of course, this got blown way out of proportion that I shit on it.
Okay.
Which I don't think I did. I just questioned it. Questioning and shitting on it is two different things, in my opinion. I didn't say, this is going to be a terrible idea and it's awful and don't go.
Right.
I never said that. I just asked, what's the motivation? What would bring people out? How are you going to fund this? All these other things. I was just asking more business-related questions. I wasn't shitting on it.
Yeah. I get both sides of it. I mean, knowing you, I knew that you were not like, oh, I hope it fails.
No.
But I didn't agree with you either.
Well, regardless of you agreed with me or not.
Fine. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah, but I wasn't shitting on it. I was I was just asking what I would consider some reasonable questions.
Yeah, I mean, if you were shitting on it, we would have done segment after segment after segment of killing it, and certainly we wouldn't have been running spots for it and, everything else.
Well, I did none of those things, but regardless, my name was brought into this conversation that I was shitting on it.
Right.
And that Michael Butler and I have something in common because we were both shitting on the podcast.
You and Michael Butler.
Yeah, we had it in common because I was shitting on it and so was he.
Okay.
That's the premise anyway. So that's the setup to this.
All right. I have not heard this.
Okay. Well, so again, I got to thank Patrick DeLeese for sending this to me.
All right.
And I listened to it and I was just like, okay. And, believe it or not, after hearing a little bit about this and not really knowing, but understanding the kind of how things fell together over there, I kind of agree with Michael Butler a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so let's listen to this. I'm not going to drag this out. I mean, it goes on for significantly a long time, but I'm only going to play a short snippet of this.
Okay.
All right, so let's check this out.
In the spirit of fun.
And we are also the butt of the joke.
I thought you were going to keep your mouth shut. All right.
You've already interrupted, motherfucker. Asshole.
I know this is all kind of silly at this point, but I would
beyond,
really like...
It's beyond silly, BJ. Come on.
All right, do you know who BJ is?
No.
I don't either. Well, getting back before I even play any more, I had somebody friend me on Twitter.
Okay.
And he calls himself Michael Butthurt.
Yeah, I've seen the tweets.
Don't know this guy from Adam, but apparently he thinks we're funny.
Okay.
And he basically is the alter ego of Michael Butler.
Right.
But he's Michael Butthurt.
I've seen the tweets.
And again, I went back and read all this guy's tweets. And a lot of it didn't make any sense to me because I had no idea who. Let's see. I'm going to go to this guy's Twitter.
All right. BJ, by the way, BJ Cramp is the host of the Rock and or Roll podcast.
Okay. All right. Well, this Michael Butthurt kept making references to somebody called Kahuna.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
All right. Well, this apparently the person, one of the people involved in this Michael Butler conversation that we're listening to, he's a host of or co-host of one of these podcasts.
Okay.
And his name is BJ Kahuna.
Okay.
I guess. So, again, I got caught up in this whole Michael Butthurt and all these tweets, and it's like I have no idea what this is. I don't even know who Kahuna is, and I don't know what, because all these Michael Butthurt tweets, as funny as they appear to be, I didn't know what the reference was.
Yeah.
But listening to this podcast, now I get it. All right. All right, here we go.
All right.
I consider you a friend. I have no hard feelings against Chris. I would like for Chris to be my friend too, but I don't think he wants to be my friend, but that's okay. If he would be my friend, I would love to be his friend. I talked to Chris so many times, and we even talked about the Tip Show, and I thought everything was great, but okay, anyway.
Clarify some things.
Okay.
Because your entire rant or rants revolved around your own misconceptions and various falsehoods. So,
first of all, I had no misconceptions, and I don't think I said anything that was not true, but I guess I'm going to be corrected.
Like I said, I'd like to clarify things, but I'll try to keep it short.
Yes.
Feel free to have a conversation with this recording. The Classic Metal Show guys would love that.
I think I will.
Your buddy Neeley also shit on the expo, so you guys have
I did not
Your buddy.
And I'm going to agree with Michael. I listened to some of the things that Michael said about the expo, and in my opinion, he wasn't shitting on it. He was just questioning it a little bit. Like, who's going to show up to this thing? I don't have quote-unquote fans that are going to be lining up for my autograph.
Okay.
So who are the people that are going to come to this thing? And he had the same questions I had. Not because it's like, oh, this is a bad idea and nobody's going to show up. It's just like, because I think one of our original things when we first talked about this was, we'll be hanging out, taking pictures, signing autographs. And it's like, who the fuck is going to want your autograph? Who are you? You're a podcaster, dude. You do this thing at your kitchen table or whatever it is you do.
Right.
And that was kind of my question. And Michael Butler had the same question. It's like, what are you talking about? Fans showing up.
Okay. I haven't heard Butler's thing. I've heard that he was a dick. I've heard that as recently as like 1 second ago in a text. But
who said that?
I'm not going to say.
All right. Can you type it to me? But you can't say. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. I'm just curious.
Let's see.
Again, I know nothing about this. None of this is first-hand information. I heard this for the first time, and I'm just trying to put pieces together, and it's just like, okay, I see this now.
What is being said, what I'm hearing, and again, we weren't there, so we don't know, but what I'm hearing is that when he got there, he was threatening to pack his gear and go home.
Right.
Oh, and I guess I can say, so it was to me.
Okay, regardless.
No.
All right, so here we go.
Shit on the Dave Slusher, did I shit on the Expo?
No, this is BJ Cramp. Now, seriously, BJ, I'm telling you, I listened to the show that made you mad with a fine-tooth comb, trying to find out what could have made you mad. I am going to need to see the paperwork on what's making you mad. You're going to have to be, we'll see if you do this in the audio comment. You need to be very specific about what's bugging you, because no one knows.
You're a little bit loud, too, by the way, Dave.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm getting worked up.
Common.
I cannot tell. I cannot tell why BJ Cramp is mad, and so.
Okay, do you know who that is?
He's the host of the Rock and or Roll podcast.
Okay, all right.
Here we are in a position of Michael Butler apologizing for something, and we don't know what we're apologizing for.
And after this audio comment, this topic is, I promise everybody, this topic is officially over. Except for me on the Rock and Roll Geek Show, probably will say a running gag about being banned from the rock podcast community. But okay, whatever.
So, like I said, I'd like to clarify things, but I'll try to keep it short. Feel free to have a conversation with this recording. The Classic Metal Show guys would love that. Your buddy Neeley also shit on the expo, so you guys have that in common. Maybe you can be friends now.
Well, are you going to reach out to Michael?
Well, that's just a ridiculous statement in itself. Because I didn't shit on the expo.
Right.
I didn't shit on it. But regardless, it's thin skin.
Yeah.
First off, I want to address
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'm not understanding why when the event was successful, why people are upset that one guy out of the whole, there was how many podcasts there, 30 or something?
I don't know. No idea.
If there was 20, 30 podcasts there and one guy complained, who gives a shit? You know, I mean, and from what I've heard and am hearing, that he was that Butler was acting like a dick or whatever, or wasn't part of the community or community spirit or whatever. And I don't know, because again, we weren't there. But even if he was, I don't understand what does it matter? Just don't invite him back for next year, and that's it.
Well, that's kind of where Butler's going with this. Like, well, you know, why don't you just get back at me? So if you do this next year, you don't invite me and you invite the other people and leave me out, then I'll learn my lesson.
Yeah, or just do it because you don't want that element at your thing.
Right.
He doesn't portray the right attitude toward your event.
Right. Okay, here we go.
Pre-party.
That was a dig. That was a put down to me, but I can take it.
Friday night with Denman in the tip, you said all the podcasters left early. False. I don't know who you're talking about. I went to the show with Brian Sword, Greg Renoff, Joe Royland, and Henny Milky. We stayed for the entire show.
Okay, I did not see you, but I think I talked to you outside of the part where you had to pay to get in. Outside by one of the booths. But if you were there, I was probably up front watching the band, so in defense, so I'm probably wrong, but I was paying attention to the band. So I didn't see any podcasters when I was leaving, but it doesn't matter. Really doesn't. But I know that I did not see any of the KISS podcast guys. I know I did not see the Cobras and Fires guys. I did not see any fat dudes.
And let's be clear, this is not the hill anyone's going to die on. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who cares if anybody was there or not?
To see both bands. In fact, all of us bought Denman's CD. Lee McCormick was there with us. And, of course, Chris Sinzak and Aaron Camaro were obviously there.
I saw Chris there. I did talk to Chris. He was there. Of course, he's the one who put on the show. So,
whole show, I'm not sure who else was there, but this concept that all the podcasters left early and none of us paid to get in is a complete and utter false.
Did I say nobody paid to get in? Okay, whatever.
Speaking of that show,
That is the most minor point,
Exactly.
BJ.
Yes.
You at that
So you got me on that one, BJ.
Got him on something that doesn't matter one fucking shit either way.
All right. So there you go. These guys are hashing this out.
Yeah, I think it's probably best to just move on.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand the whole. I get it. I get that, from what I'm being told right at this minute, that BJ was the one that that put on that had the idea, and then Chris ran with it and built the actual Rocket Pod Expo. So BJ has some stake in the development of it.
Okay.
So I guess from that standpoint, I understand where he might be a little annoyed if somebody's talking shit about it. I just don't understand why they're giving Butler any kind of juice, like his opinion fucking matters.
And that's funny because, again, I'm not even going to play all this, but Butler goes into this whole thing. It's like, what does it matter that what I say on my little podcast? There's much bigger podcasts out there than me. So what difference does it make what my opinion is? Why are you so concerned about what one guy says?
I mean, did he act like an asshole? From several people I've talked to, yes, he did. But so what? So he's an asshole. Okay. But well, what's going on now? The worst thing that can happen is what's happening is that several of the podcasts are now giving him attention and pushing traffic his way. They're playing to him, really.
More or less.
Which, I mean, I know he's the biggest podcast in the world and all, but he's getting new listeners.
Sure. Well, I hope I found the right spot, but there's just one little extra piece here, and then we'll wrap this segment up. But
all right.
I just had to laugh because if you listen to this, and again, there's always two sides to every story. Mm-hmm. We heard that there weren't any tables, and he wanted a table, his own table, and all this. Well, I heard his side of it, and then I heard what other people said, and it's like, yeah, I can see where there's a problem there.
All right.
But you have to draw that conclusion for yourself because I'm not going to rehash everything here.
Okay.
But I'm going to play this one segment. I hope I found it, but it also made me laugh a little bit.
All right.
All we could do was put the event on and see what happened. And that's what we did. And now we know what happened. And it was a joyful experience for most of us. If you ask anyone who was there, they'll say Michael Butler had a bad look on his face most of the time. And Dave Slusher said, Michael has a bitch resting face or whatever Dave said. Michael said he's socially awkward. I know about being socially awkward. So fine. He felt uncomfortable or out of place, whatever he wants to say. And, he's judgmental about this idea that somebody said, their fans were going to be there. Well, the Rock and Metal Combat guys, who I really think Michael is referring to Ian on the Skype episode, the one where he said we were talking about signing autographs, and I played the clip where Ken said that and it was immediately joked out of the room, but Ian probably talked about his fans. Well, Ian and Ralph's fans from Rock and Metal Combat contributed $3,000 to the GoFundMe, and at least 4 of them drove across the country just to see Ian and Ralph. So they have fans. And Michael Butler is judgmental about them using the word fan and saying they have fans. Whatever.
Okay.
So that apparently was a sticking issue right there.
Okay. Well, I don't know. All I know is that I'm glad that it went off well. Who gives a fuck what Michael Butler thinks?
Right. Well, I'm going to try to, hopefully I found this other thing where he talks about us a little bit.
Oh, us again?
Yeah, us again.
Okay.
Not about the Rock and Pod Expo, which by the way, I had a great time at. Did I say that?
It was a good expo, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic expo. I had a good
time. By the
time.
way, hey, so before the very last thing, if they ask you back, would you go?
Fuck yeah, I'd go back.
BJ, he's fine with it. Are you fine with it? Let's test your mettle everyone's fine with it.
I will
How
not-
about hatchet buried? Everyone's fine. Misunderstanding. Let's do it again next year.
I won't be invited back.
I'm just saying. No one's mad. Everyone's saying that they're not mad, so no one's mad. So let's just do it again next year. And don't use a normal person's social cues on Butler. That's all I ask of you, BJ.
I have a feeling that if the classic metal guys would have said yes, and if Dean Del Rey would have said yes, and if whoever else they asked would have said yes, I wouldn't have been invited.
What? Why?
Well, because we turned it down, or neither one of us committed to it, so they had to go down the totem pole until somebody said yes.
Does he really think that we're somehow, afraid to be in the same room with him?
No, our name was bigger than his, and so they said, well, the Classic Metal Show declined.
I don't think that's what he means.
I don't know. That's kind of how I gathered it. I don't know.
I totally think that that's like a backhanded, like, we couldn't be in the same room together.
Is that how you interpreted it?
That's I'm interpreting, and that's fucking ridiculous.
Well, see, again, the way that he listed the names,
yeah,
I kind of gathered that. I took it as that, well, if they had said okay and this guy said okay, they would have gotten down to me to ask me to be there. That's how I took it, but that's a different spin on your end. I mean, I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't.
If your spin is right, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
And I would agree with you.
And I'll say this with whoever our worst enemies are. Who's our worst enemy? Dirt Talk?
Well, they don't even exist anymore.
Well, I mean, but if they were going to be invited, we wouldn't give a shit. And it wouldn't have any... I'll say this. It did not... Our opinion or our decision not to attend this year had nothing to do with the fact that Michael Butler was
had nothing to do with that.
That would be like point number 10 million on the thing. The points were what they were. You didn't feel like you wanted to go to it, and I couldn't because of the shit going on in my world. And I had previously had plans on the table anyway.
Right.
So, for me, it was timing. For you, you weren't interested in going. It had nothing to do with fucking Michael Butler.
That's funny.
That's ridiculous. I would love to do a co-podcast with Michael Butler. You want to put something to bed, and Lord knows I've been the one in the last 3 years or whatever to actually do that kind of shit. The Mark thing. That was as big of a feud as we've ever had. Yes?
Absolutely.
And made it happen. Made it absolutely happen the first time, and then you made it happen the second time with John.
Right.
With John. So it's not like we have any kind of fear or we might get out-talked or talking under the table or a fist fight or any... Whatever, dude. Stop that nonsense.
Right.
We fucking influenced because we said no. They said they invited you next. Please, dude. He was in the mix from the, because I was in the mix of hearing about it anyway from Sinzak, and from the first discussions I heard Butler was going to be there. From the very first discussions that I heard Michael Butler's name. So it wasn't, and that was before the end game discussion. I had heard Butler was coming, so that was before we'd ever actually said that we couldn't attend.
Right.
He's whatever.
I just found it funny, and then another one. Listening to this little podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this BJ had interviewed Michael Butler several years ago. I think like way back in 2014.
Okay.
And he did a whole segment on us where we did the whole, when we originally talked about Michael Butler talking about his emails.
Okay.
They played that whole segment.
Cool. I need to hear that. I would like to hear that.
All right. Well, let me find it.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, good. I'd like to hear some of that.
Yeah. Let me see here. What's this thing called? It's called Rock. What's it called? Rock
and or Roll podcast.
Yeah, because I know it's on episode 31. Rock and or Roll podcast. There it is. So it's like way back in 2014.
Okay.
Find it here.
Is that when we did that segment?
Yeah, it was shortly after he interviewed Michael Butler.
BJ Cramp!
No, that's not it. He interviewed Michael Butler, and they talked about that.
Okay.
Let's see here. I think it's like somewhere around February or March of 2014. Let me see here. Episode 31. There we go. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to fast forward this because it's right near the end of the podcast here. So I'm going to try to move this ahead.
All right.
Let me see here. All right. See if I found it.
Yeah. I'm surprised neither one of us got a alert or anything about this.
Yeah, no kidding.
Surprised none of our fans forwarded it to us.
Right.
Make fun of me as I have a conversation with a voicemail.
Okay, so he gets that.
Yeah, because it's dumb.
Because we thought it was...
The guy asked me if I wanted to be part of their network.
Oh, here it is. He's talking about you.
Big fan.
Yeah, because I really like him. He's a fan of the show.
I think two of the guys from the Zeros are in that band with
All
him.
right, here we go.
Yeah. And that one guy in the Zeros is a huge Stars fanatic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the Zeros.
Yeah, I don't know their music that well, but we played a couple of gigs with them when I was in.
I like the reverb though. It's like they're talking in a basement. All right, so here he's going to ask Michael about us.
Okay.
American Heartbreak, I think.
They had an album in like '92 or something. 4-3-2-1.
They had all purple hair. Hair.
Yeah.
And I think they did a Howard Stern theme song too.
Yeah,
didn't
they did. Yeah, but that album is really great. It's almost closer to like pop punk than it doesn't sound like hair metal. It's more like pop punk. It's great. And you had a war with the Classic Metal Show guys?
Oh yeah.
Or
you didn't hear that?
No.
Yeah, they goofed on me.
What episode was that on? I gotta hear that.
One of their listeners used to call into my show all the time. This guy, Tim James from Australia. And they did a whole bit. They played me talking to my voicemail. You know how people will call in my voicemail, and I'll carry on a conversation with a voicemail.
Yeah.
They did a whole 35, 40 minutes goofing on me, carrying on conversations with my voicemail. And so then I thought it would be funny to talk about it on Good Clean Fun.
Okay.
And that started the war.
Okay. Is that a war?
I didn't know that we were at war.
I didn't know that either, but started a war.
I thought we had a goofy segment.
Yeah, it was a funny segment, but apparently the war was actually with you.
Okay.
Via the Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So he mentions, corresponding with you through the Facebook, and then you blocked him.
Oh, I probably got sick of him.
Which is a bitch move, man.
So
here we go. I thought we would bring Michael Butler's show, which I guess from what I understand now after listening to this, he's got two shows.
Yes.
He's got the Rock and Roll Geek Show, and then he's got a show called Good Clean Fun, which he co-hosts with a guy by the name of Jasper.
Yeah.
Okay, so I distinguished that they got two different things going on there.
Right. So he's not gonna let us be on the Rock and Roll Geek Show.
Right. So he and his co-host Jasper decide to discuss what we discussed about the Rock and Roll Geek Show on our show.
Sure.
So let's check this out.
All right.
Speaking of morning radio, I know some people probably subscribe to that classic metal show. Those motherfuckers spent 45 minutes goofing on the Rock and Roll Geek Show. So if anybody subscribes to that show, why? It is the worst morning zoo fucking crap. It's these two fat douchebags, fucking idiots, laughing at themselves, man. Oh, it's gonna get me slowly. I turn.
Is that what we're laughing about? We're laughing at ourselves?
That's what I think.
He just pulls up a clip where we're just kind of laughing about something, but we're laughing at ourselves.
Yeah, because that's what we do. Just sit here and laugh and laugh.
Right.
No, wait. Set up this thing that you're listening to of yourself. What is this?
Okay. First of all, you're going to hear repeating. Sorry about that, Jasper. So what's our friend, the guy who used to piss you off all the time? What's his name? Oh, fuck. Why can't I remember? He's a friend of. I like the guy. He called it hate comments. Oh.
I like the guy, but I can't remember who he is.
How long is
Big
this?
fan.
It's like 4 minutes.
All right. So I'm already tired of it.
All right. Yeah, because I really like him. He's a fan of the show. Couldn't tell you who he is.
Yeah, you know that guy.
Yeah.
John, I'm sorry, I don't remember it. It'll come to me. Anyway, he said, hey, there's this show, Classic Metal Show, is bad-mouthing your show, and here's the link, and it's about 15 minutes in. He first said Tim James is cheating on you. He called in and said that this was the best show out there, and then he sent me an email and said they're bad-mouthing you. All right.
Now, again, that's a lie. We didn't badmouth Michael Butler.
No.
Or the Rock and Roll Geek Show. We didn't say, man, this is a horrible show. Why is he even bothering?
We thought that the interviewing a voicemail was stupid.
Yeah, we just thought it was kind of different or silly, but we didn't even say it was stupid or quote unquote retarded.
Well, I'll say it now. It is stupid and it is retarded to fucking interview a fucking piece of digital audio.
Okay.
It's dumb as a fucking rock. It's fucking dumb. Mix in a fucking phone number. Right? Mix in a fucking phone number, you fucking phony piece of shit.
But he's not live though.
Yeah, well, pick a time if you're going to take phone calls and I know he's going to get to it later, but he's going to say, well, they don't get my stream of consciousness. Yes, because your stream of consciousness is dumb as fuck, you stupid fuck. Get a goddamn Google Voice number and take calls, you dickhead. It's free. That seems to be in your wheelhouse, you stupid fuck.
So there's Chris going on a rant. That's the old Chris.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm not that angry anymore,
Yeah.
am I?
No, that's the old Chris.
I've calmed down a lot since then. That was only 3 years ago?
Yeah, that was 2014.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot more mellow than that now.
Yeah, you are.
Talking to Tim James. Tim James called in, and he's calling in from the McDonald's bathroom or something. Okay. All right, here we go.
Well, apparently.
Don't make fun of Tim James, man. We like him. We need it.
I like Tim, and they're making fun of me because I'm not making fun of Tim James. What they really make fun of me is I have a conversation with a voicemail.
Okay, so he gets that.
Yeah, because it's dumb.
Because we thought it was kind of like, are you really talking to a voicemail?
This is like him talking to his answering machine, you stupid motherfucker. Yes, we're going to make fun of it.
Yeah, because
it's like talking to your television.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
It's something that won't answer back. It's not a conversation which you're trying to pretend you're having, dumb shit. That's why we're fucking attacking it as stupid, you fuck.
I guess they think that's lame.
Yeah,
Here
we
they
do.
are. They're called Classic Metal Show. It should be called the Fat Dude Show. Whatever. Okay. Here we go.
So there we go. It's the Fat Dude Show.
Yeah. Then the war started, and then they registered rockandrollgeekshow.com or something like that, or the rockandrollgeekshow.com, and thought it was real funny. Then the guy asked me if I wanted to be part of their network. And I said, well, it sounds interesting. How many listeners do you have on your network? And that's when it really pissed him off.
Is that true, Chris? Is that when it really pissed you off?
I didn't know I was.
All right.
So, and then I stopped. They continued to goof on me for a while, but I stopped acknowledging them. But Chris Cisniak tried to keep it going.
I heard them when they were making fun of Talking Metal. So I guess that's their thing, is to make fun of other.
Yeah, they want to be shock jocks.
Is that so? That episode of Good Clean Fun's probably still on iTunes, huh? Where you bash the Classic Metal Show.
I don't know, probably.
Was it a long time ago?
I didn't bash them.
Oh, okay.
I was playing clips of them bashing me.
Oh, okay. All right.
And they were playing clips of me talking to their voicemail. So I was like so meta, unbelievable. So I was playing clips of them, playing clips of me, playing clips of whatever. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was kind of funny, but it was ridiculous, man.
It was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous, but it was funny.
Yep. Well, whatever. I'm done with Radio Wars, I think.
And then I called the guy a fat fuck because they registered their name. I said, "You fat fuck, you got some nerve registering." And then he proceeded, and then he like called me out. The guy who I don't know what his name, Chris Dash or whatever his name is.
Is that you, Chris Dash?
Yeah, I guess. Chris Dash.
You're Chris Dash, Stacy's husband.
Yeah. Oh, I wish.
And as soon as he came back with a retort, he blocked me on Facebook. This was all like a Facebook private message. As soon as he defended himself, he blocked me.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even. So
he got the last word. Yeah.
Yeah. Puss move.
Yeah.
His wife left him too, by the way. You can imagine why. I wanted to Jasper. I tried to get Jasper to agree to having his wife on the show.
Did you know that, Chris?
No, that would have been good. Go ahead.
But then, it would have just evolved into more podcast wars, which is stupid. So I just decided to take the high road and not say anything.
Yeah, podcast wars. That's interesting phenomenon.
I mean, that's a new low in society when you got podcast wars, man.
Yeah.
That's like Little League wars or something. T-ball wars. Parents of T-ball teams going to war with each other.
Yeah, right.
All right, so there you are.
Wow. That would have been... I wish he would have got my ex on. That would have been good.
So he's trying to get your ex on the show.
Yeah, I'll bet he tried hard.
Talk about what a horrible person you are.
Go ahead. Hell, I do that. Don't have to reach out to her. I'm willing to say that I'm a fucking horrible piece of shit.
Yeah. So this time the issue was with you, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm not the only one drawing the ire.
Whatever. Podcast wars. So stupid.
I know.
Look, me and Butler agree. We both agree that podcast wars are stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yep.
So anyway, we got a little coverage on the other podcast because we're so goddamn controversial and funny.
Yeah, I guess.
But, yeah, so Patrick DeLeese turning me on to that little snippet.
Well, I just hope that whatever's going to happen is going to happen and that they can have a rockin' pod, too, because, I was happy that it did well. And, this other nonsense, whatever. Butler's there, Butler's not there. We're there, we're not there. Does any of it matter?
No, none of it matters. But, again, it's I don't know what it is. People get very defensive or thin-skinned about stuff.
Right.
You're not going to say that about me, man. So that goes back. That goes back to her whole "yeah, man."
Mm-hmm. I know it's people don't want their name to be besmirched or something. Yeah. I guess, but whatever.
It's like what are they going to do to you?
We weren't even there and we're referenced in this shit.
I know.
For something that you said in what?
March.
Fucking October.
I know.
Or September, whatever month we're in.
He wasn't supportive, man.
No.
Right out the gate, he wasn't supportive. Neither was Michael. And, in that latest episode of Rock or Roll, yeah, that podcast, there's a lot more to it. So if you can sit through an hour and 25 minutes of that, you can, get Michael's side
right
of how things played out that day for him and, what he might have been a little miffed about, and the other guy's side and how they viewed his attitudes and so on and so forth. So it's just back and forth. It's just like, it's over, it's done. Don't invite the guy back again.
Yeah, or invite him back and just deal with whatever he says. I mean, who cares? I whatever. I mean, I just find the whole thing a little bit much. The event was successful, so capitalize on the success. Don't fucking, because what you do is you confuse the dummies. You confuse the dummies that, will actually give more weight to what Butler says than anything else.
That's correct.
And why do that?
Yeah, why focus on the negative?
Especially when everybody else seems to have said that it was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that I've talked to, the podcasters and the some people that just went, some fan type people that went, everybody said it was a great time. And if nothing else, you can look at Blabbermouth and see that it was really impactful on the music scene itself, because there's been quite a few stories that have come out from the Rock and Pod Expo. Most recently this week, Toomey's interview with Toby Wright, talking about wanting to remix And Justice for All.
Right.
That's been everywhere. That was on every single news site, and that came from the Rock and Pod Expo.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that happened was because Sinzak busted his ass and got Toby Wright down there.
Sure.
So, focus on the positive stuff, because there was a lot of good shit that happened that makes it probably more viable next year for some people with some money to spend some money to advertise or to be, participants or whatnot. So I don't know. I just don't understand one guy from one podcast, which is either the biggest in the world or not, or whatever, didn't have, and it, again, I haven't heard everything Butler said, but doesn't sound like he was that pissed off. Doesn't sound like he was totally shitting on it. I mean, he may have in other things or at the venue or whatever. I don't know, but I don't know. The whole thing is just, I'm going to stay with what I'm saying. I'm glad that it went well, and I think that if they focus on the positive shit and not on the negative shit, they can increase what they did next year.
I agree.
They've got a good building block started. So go forward, guys. Jesus.
Yeah.
Man.
and had we accepted, he would have never been invited.
Never.
Which I heard that and I was like, what?
Yeah, I think that's just incorrect.
Yeah.
That's unless there was discussion that did not include us. The discussion I heard from the first mention of it was that the first I heard of it, it was going to be Decibel Geek. They wanted us to come. They wanted Talking Metal to come. They wanted Butler to come, and the Rock and Metal Combat podcast, the Ian and Ralph's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the ones that I heard the first time I heard anything about it. So, unless there was conversation before that can we invite those guys and whatever. But I never heard nothing but Butler was involved. So whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
It's still funny though.
It is.
Because when I heard that today, I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah. Silly.
It is silly. All right. Well, let's take a short break.
All right.
I'm going to play something for Michael Butler.
Okay.
I'm going to play a band called Tortured Soul. And the name of this tune is called On This Evil Night.
All right.
There will be a Rock and Pod Expo.
Yeah. And a riot in St. Louis, which I'm watching.
Exactly. All right. Well, here it is. It's a Tortured Soul exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.